Wild for the Weekend is sponsored by the following supporters.
Hopcop Premium Meats are third-generation BC farmers, roaming pasture-fed, non-GMO, grain-finished cattle with no added hormones and steroids. We source local produce and specialty grocery selections located on Old Dewdney Trunk Road in Pitt Meadows. hopcopmeats.ca.
Hello everybody and welcome to Wild for the Weekend. Today we are going to play with some eggs, organic chicken eggs. And we're going to show you two ways to do a souffle, the traditional roux method, and then just a skillet souffle, which will be a beautiful, beautiful dish. And then we'll finish off where we scramble some eggs with some other ingredients, but we don't want to emulsify them, we want to keep them separate. Join us in just a few minutes while we're going to have some fun with eggs on Wild for the Weekend. Welcome back to Wild for the Weekend and our egg show. Today we're going to do some beautiful dishes with eggs. Our very first one is a roulade. We're actually going to make almost like an old British Swiss roll dish. So the very first thing we're doing is in my pot I have a nut brown roux. And all I did was a little bit of olive oil and a little bit of flour in there, a little bit of salt, and cooked it for about a minute and a half. And I'm going to add to that about I don't know, 3/4 of a cup, half a cup of milk. And we just want it to cook to a nice thick roux. Basically, once we achieve this state, we don't want to go much further. Maybe a tiny lick more milk, but not very much further. And you don't want to cook it for very much longer than that either, because we already cooked the butter and we already cooked the oil, so we don't want to cook any further. We're going to add some egg yolks because we're making a souffle roulade. So this dish will actually be a souffle, but not put in a souffle dish. It'll actually just go into a baking tray. So first thing is to separate some eggs. We're just going to separate out the yolk from. Really quick way is to just pop it in your hand. Leave your fingers open, then bring your fingers together, and what it does is it cuts off the white and keeps the yolk separate, and you're able to keep the white and the yolk separate. So really quick tip. A lot of chefs use it because it's just really easy. The egg white almost falls through your hands and goes into the bowl. Right, so 3 egg whites we want in here. And just clip that off. There we go. And in there. And the egg whites we're going to beat in just a second, and the egg yolks we're actually going to put into our roux to blend it out, give it just a little richer flavor. So the egg yolks go in there quickly and mix them around very quickly because we don't want the egg to cook. We want it just to go into the sauce and not to cook. And then the next step is we're actually going to put in our egg whites onto our beater and beat them for about a minute so they get firm peaks. And while they're beating, I'm actually going to put into our skillet some of the fillings that we're going to use. So watch me do that. A little bit of olive oil. And we're going to add some red onion, some celery, some bacon. Once the egg whites have come to a soft peak, not a hard peak, but a soft peak, we're going to take about a tablespoon of the egg white and put it into the roux, and we're going to beat that around quite quickly. Okay. The next step we're going to do, because we've added a little bit of the beaten egg white into the roux, it will accept the rest of the egg white really quickly. So all of this egg white just goes into the roux, gets blended together. And this is a more gentle step where we don't want to beat the egg white here. We want to just mix it into the roux so that it has a softer consistency. Basically what we're doing here is we're encouraging the eggs to spread out, is really what we're about here. So once we get to this stage, then we're going to transfer them onto a baking sheet. And all I did was line the baking sheet with a little bit of parchment, and that's it. So onto our parchment goes the egg mixture. So this souffle will actually spread out on its own when it's cooking, but we want to encourage it a little bit. So we're just going to spread it out a little bit over the parchment. I'm just going to get my spoon, take out the remaining, that beautiful roux. And the reason it's got this lovely noisette color is because we cooked that roux to a nice state, so it had a lovely color when we put it in to the eggs. So that goes into the oven and bakes for at 425 for about 8 or 9 minutes. Okay. And we just take our pot over to the sink. I'm going to rinse off our handle here and start mixing around our topping. This is going to be our filling that we're going to put into the omelette. So in our skillet, while our souffle roulade is in the oven, in our skillet is our celery, a little bit of our bacon. It's just caramelized up beautifully, and we'll turn that off now. We're finished with that, and we're going to prepare a little bit of a sauce for our roulade. So into our bowl, a little bit of sour cream and some sriracha hot sauce. About, I don't know, a teaspoon of sriracha hot sauce in, and just mix it around to blend the two. And this is all we're doing. We're not going to add anything else to that. Just mix that around, blending the two of them. Then we're going to prepare our herbs. We've got some fresh rosemary here. Just going to chop that into a really rough chop. Nothing too fine, nothing too simple, just a rough chop. I'm going to add some cilantro to that. These beautiful herbs are going to smell just gorgeous with the warm, soft eggs. So, chop this down. Keep them nice and fresh. And we've already got some mustard together and our mozzarella cheese that we're going to use in the topping. I'm just going to add a little bit of fleur de sel into our bacon mixture, which will allow just that salt to come out of the bacon and give it a really beautiful flavor. And these are our toppings, so when the omelette comes out, we'll actually roll it and stuff it. So. Okay, so our beautiful souffle has cooked and set. So we want to bring it out of the oven. We're going to leave it on the parchment, and we are going to take our bacon and celery mix and just sprinkle it over the top of the roulade. Spread that out gently. We don't want to damage this roulade at all. We're going to add some beautiful mozzarella cheese to that. And we're not going to melt that, we're just going to add that because the heat, when we roll it, will actually melt that. Our fresh herbs go on top with the rosemary and the beautiful cilantro. Now we're going to take the parchment paper and we're going to use it to roll. So take the parchment paper and fold it in on itself and then use it to roll up. Can you see that rolling? And as it's rolling, I'm peeling the paper off of the roulade. So it creates this gorgeous round that is so easy for you to serve. So we get our plate and we will start the plating process. We've got our beautiful dressing that we made, our sauce. Put a little bit of the dressing on and then give it a good wipe across the plate. I want it to have a good kind of feel. We're going to take some of our beautiful fleur de sels and let's go with a nice color because we have the white plate. We'll go with a blackberry just to give it a really lovely garnish. Then we'll take our blade and you're just going to take off. This is so, I mean, it is literally airlight. It's just beautiful. Take off a slice of our stuffed roulade, lift it, and you can serve it standing or serve it on its edge. That's just the mozzarella. If I like to serve it standing, and I'd like to accompany it with a little pastry that I did. And this is just phyllo pastry that was popped in the oven and baked with a little bit of olive oil for about 6 or 7 minutes, and it was just a beautiful, it's the crunch. It kind of gives the original quiche look. So there is our roulade with, let's not done, with our phyllo pastry top. And when we come back, we are going to continue our Wild for the Weekend exploration with eggs. Join us again in a few minutes.
Wild for the Weekend is sponsored by the following supporters.
Hopcop Premium Meats are third generation BC farmers, roaming pasture-fed non-GMO grain-finished cattle with no added hormones and steroids. We source local produce and specialty grocery selections located on Old Dewdney Trunk Road in Pitt Meadows. hopcopmeats.ca. West Coast Wild Foods, foraged wild mushrooms and truffles harvested from the Northwest Territories to southern BC. westcoastwildfoods.com, a wild foods company.
Mobile Bandit is an app that helps you find local deals on your smartphone. Downloadable on all devices and no membership is required. Visit mobilebandit.com for more info. Golden Ears Cheeseworks, artisan cheese made in the Fraser Valley. Golden Ears Cheeseworks, cheese made with the family farm milk. 3-year cheddar, Yorkshire Blue, and Brie. Hagensport Chocolates is a boutique Vancouver-based chocolate company that has been producing European chocolate since 2006. Pure Verona chocolate.
Third generation family farm in the Fraser Valley. Fraser Valley Specialty Poultry has free-range duck and goose, duck sausage and smoked duck breast, organic chicken and ground duck patties. Fraser Valley Specialty Poultry in Chilliwack, BC. fvdg.com. Anita's Organic Flour and Mixes has over 20 years providing whole grain products from Canadian farmers. Anita's is certified organic grains, flour, cereals, mixes and sprouted products. Their granite stone mills and low temperature milling preserve the nutrition for whole grain food. AnitasOrganic.com.
Welcome back to Wild for the Weekend on our egg show. I wanted to show you a second way to do a souffle that isn't using the roux method but is much simpler and can get you a beautiful little brunch on Sunday or a nice breakfast on a Saturday morning. So in our skillet, and this skillet is warm at the moment, so I'm going to put in about a tablespoon of olive oil just to coat the bottom of the skillet. In our bowl here you can see that I've softly whipped egg whites, not firm, they're not even peaking, they're just very, very soft. And in fact, if we move them, there will still be some white that isn't beaten to the opaque color on the bottom. And to that, I'm going to add 3 egg yolks. And just break the egg yolks down and then blend them into the egg whites. And we want to color the egg whites. We don't want to beat them down too much, we just want to color the egg whites. Put our skillet onto the heat and just bring that back up to a temperature and then pour our souffle egg into the skillet. And just let that cook. That'll cook beautifully. Now we don't really want to turn this over. We want it just to cook on one side. So, what are we going to fill it with? So let's have some fun filling it. I'm just going to take a little bit of carrot. Just a tiny bit. I haven't peeled the carrot, they've just been washed. I don't like to peel them because of all that beautiful mineral and nutrient content just a millimeter under the skin. But we're going to put them into little shoestrings. I'm going to take a little bit of zucchini and do exactly the same thing. A little bit into shoestrings. And while we're doing this, the whole time that souffle is cooking on the heat. Just chop this ever so gently, and we want a nice fine chop. We don't want this to be too big at all because we're not going to cook it. And so we want to be able to eat this and have it have the flavors, but really nice and gentle. And because we're putting them into a souffle, we don't want to have them too chunky. They'll beat it down. So take our vegetables and just drop them on top of the souffle omelette. And to that, you can hear it just starting to crisp. And you know when to turn it. Actually, you don't turn it over. You know when it's ready by the sound it'll make, and I'll show you that in just 1 second. I'm going to add some cheese. This is just a white Jack cheese to the top, and you'll see it starting to bounce. That's a very good clue that we're getting ready and the omelette is setting. When you see the ingredients you put on top bounce off the top. A little bit of black pepper just on top, and some sel. I'm just going to put fleur de sel, just the natural fleur de sel that we have on top there, and bring it off the heat. It's cooked for sure now, and to it I'm going to add a very, very tiny amount of ginger, and I want to slice this into a really fine slice, chop. I don't want this to be chunky at all. We're actually adding just a tiny, this will add a little bit of heat, a little bit of spice, a little bit of zzz to the omelette, and I don't want it to be chunks, I want it to be quite small. So pop that on top of the omelette here. Now, to serve. Take our plate that we love, our Eclipse plate here, and I'm going to take a little bit of mustard, and I'm going to do exactly the same thing we did on the last time, a little bit of mustard onto the back of the spoon, and just wipe that onto the plate. I love the way that looks. It gives it a real kind of, I don't know, artistic feel to it. So, a wooden spoon, and see if we can't lift this omelette off of the skillet. We're just going to move it around from the outside of the skillet, and we want to turn it. So excuse me just facing myself. I'm just going to turn it so that it folds in on itself, and then what we're going to do is roll it onto the plate. There we go. And you'll see how high that is and the depth of that. Take a little bit more of the cheese that we used just to garnish it. Take a little bit of the fresh cilantro that we have here on our board and chop that up. And we're going to put a little bit of fleur de sel on top, but you want to choose a different color than the fleur de sel that we have been using. So a little bit of the chopped cilantro just for some color, and then a little bit, let's use the balsamic fleur de sel and put that over there. So that gives you the second choice of using a souffle, and this time we didn't use it in a roux. All we did was we beat up the egg whites very gently. We'll see you in just a few minutes on Wild for the Weekend.
Wild for the Weekend is sponsored by the following supporters.
Hopcop Premium Meats are third-generation BC farmers, roaming pasture-fed, non-GMO, grain-finished cattle with no added hormones and steroids. We source local produce and specialty grocery selections located on Old Dewdney Trunk Road in Pitt Meadows. hopcopmeats.ca. West Coast Wild Foods, foraged wild mushrooms and truffles harvested from the Northwest Territories to southern BC. westcoastwildfoods.com, a wild foods company.
Mobile Bandit is an app that helps you find local deals on your smartphone. Downloadable on all devices and no membership is required. Visit mobilebandit.com for more info. Golden Ears Cheeseworks, artisan cheese made in the Fraser Valley. Golden Ears Cheeseworks, cheese made with the family farm milk. 3-year cheddar, Yorkshire Blue, and Brie. Hagen's Board Chocolates is a boutique Vancouver-based chocolate company that has been producing European chocolate since 2006. Pure Verona chocolate.
Third generation family farm in the Fraser Valley. Fraser Valley Specialty Poultry has free-range duck and goose, duck sausage and smoked duck breast, organic chicken and ground duck patties. Fraser Valley Specialty Poultry in Chilliwack, BC. FVDG.com. Anita's Organic Flour and Mixes has over 20 years providing whole grain products from Canadian farmers. Anita's is certified organic grains, flour, cereals, mixes, and sprouted products. Their granite stone mills and low temperature milling preserve the nutrition for whole grain food. AnitasOrganic.com.
Hello everybody, and welcome back to Wild for the Weekend and our egg show. Now I'm going to show you how to work with a scrambled egg and add it to a dish without it emulsifying the whole dish. And there's a kind of a technique to this, so I'm going to show you that. The very first thing that we're going to do is we're going to pop an avocado into the oven. So to de-seed our avocado is really simple. All we do is put the knife in and turn it around, turn the avocado around the knife. It's just simpler. Twist it apart, and then you just tap your knife in there, turn, of course it's not going to today, there it goes, turn it and pop it out. All we do with the avocado is rub that with a little bit of olive oil and pop that into a 425 degree oven for 10 minutes. And I have some in the oven already that I'll bring out in just a second. To our skillet, we're going to create the filling that we want to make for our stuffed baked avocado. So we're going to put a tablespoon or two of olive oil into our warm skillet, and we're going to add a little bit of celery to that. I'm going to add some chili flakes to it, not too many, a good pinch, but not too many. And then I'm going to add some garam masala to it as well. And I'm going to add about 1/4 of a teaspoon of garam masala in there, just to give it a little bit of a flavor. Take our carrot, again we washed it, but we didn't peel it because of that nutrient content that we want. And take the carrot and chop it up, again nice and small, because it's going to cook in quite a bit of speed, so we don't want it to be too large. Into our skillet, saute that. We're going to add to that a little bit of green onion. I'm just going to top and tail that and add some of the green onion to it. I like adding the green onion to this because it's sweeter than a regular onion, and in this dish that'll give it a little bit of a bounce. So a little bit of the green onion goes in there. We'll just clean up our board a little bit and get rid of these things. And then we'll add to that a little tiny bit of ginger. Again, 2 tiny slices, not too many. Just chiffonade it, which is just a thin slice. Pop that into the skillet. And then the final thing that we have are medjool dates. And I only have 2 of them. We're just going to put a little bit of medjool date in there. And that's going to give it a little bit of a jammy consistency. And I love adding fruit to savory dishes. A little bit of fleur de sel in there, not too much. And I'm going to put a little bit of zucchini in there as well. Again, just thin slices, and then we just chop those thin slices into little cube and pop that in. You want to put the zucchini in last because it's the softest, so it cooks the quickest. And that will finish there. We are going to then take our eggs and prepare them. So while this is cooking in our skillet, that garam masala's in there. We added a little bit of those chili flakes, so there's going to be a little bit of a kick to this. It's not going to be insane crazy, but there is going to be a little bit of a kick to that. We're not going to cook them down completely, we just want them to saute. We're going to add 3 eggs, 3 whole eggs into our dish here. And we're going to beat them up. If you're going to make scrambled eggs are the very last thing that you ever put on any dish. You plate everything, you make the scrambled eggs, and then plate the scrambled eggs. Don't make scrambled eggs and then wait. They become rubbery. They should be made and served immediately. So, we've prepared them. I'm not adding any salt to them because I don't want them to break down. I want them to keep that kind of well, the consistency is almost like an emulsification. I want it to be quite firm. Pop over to our oven and just grab out the avocados that I already baked. So you'll see I just scored them, rubbed them with a tiny little bit of olive oil, and just baked them. It's really easy. So we'll take our plate and take our avocados and put them on the plate. Then we've got our lovely filling, and this is what I wanted to show you. So normally I'm going to add, actually I forgot this, and I just want to add about 1/4 cup of white wheat grain, and that will give it just a little bit of extra protein, a really lovely and also a little bit of a nutty crunch in there. So I don't want to mix our eggs into this and emulsify it. So what you do is put your egg into the other side of the skillet. You'll notice that I cleared off one side of the skillet and put the egg into the other side of the skillet. Let your egg cook for 30 seconds, 45 seconds. Not too long, but a little while. You want it to become a little opaque on the outside so that when you start moving it, you're moving it at the very last minutes to scramble it. We don't want to spend too long in the skillet with this because 2 reasons. I don't want to mix this into it just yet. I want to cook the egg and then mix it. And what that does is it keeps the egg separate from the grains, separate from the vegetables, and allows it to be its own kind of ingredient within the finished dish. Take our avocado, and what we're going to do is just take our egg mixture and stuff the top of the avocado with that. When you do this kind of thing, always allow some of the avocado to show. Don't top the avocado in everything. Always allow some of it to show, and it just shows the whole ingredients that you're making. A little bit of fleur de sel. I'm going to use the black activated charcoal on one side, and I'm going to use the balsamic on the other, just to give it a little bit of a color. And for a garnish for this one, really simple, just a little bit of red, just to give it a little bit of a lift. And that is our stuffed avocado with our scrambled egg, an excellent brunch item. I've really enjoyed cooking for you today with the eggs. It's been a real joy. Come back and join us again another time on Wild for the Weekend.